Hello everyone and welcome to So Many Games So Little Time. Today, my name is Joachim, and today we will be doing the reboxing of the Stars of Akarios game. First off, the Ships of Akarios, the miniatures expansion, there's nothing to do there. It is just simply, it is what it is. Everything is already nice in there. I didn't make any changes to that or whatever. So you have this, just keep it like this. It's not worth trying to get it into the base box unless you throw away inserts and all that kind of stuff, which I didn't do because I like the way it is, to be honest. But I'm gonna do my reboxing as I always do. I will take everything out and then I'll put everything back in. Okay, so first of all, there is a little bit of lift because these go a little bit too high. These 4 boxes. So these boxes are your ship boxes, basically your player boxes. As you can see, these will already come with a miniature and a ship and some cards in there already, or at least that's what I did. Now, because these 4 ships are the starting ships. Same with the characters, there's also the starting characters. So they all have their own box already. So for example, I will show you one that I didn't play with because this is the one that I did play with, but more about that later, or I should say at the end, because the composition is slightly different. So what is in there? First of all, you have the miniature, of course, itself. The ship, it has the cutout here, so it fits perfectly. The pilot also fits in here. You can just slide it up, whatever. What else is in there? You have the ship. What I put in there, at least, are the ship ability cards. This is the Argonaut, and you can see the ships. You have to look at it, and also, of course, has the name on it on the side. So it has the ship abilities, and then you have the modifiers, and then also something that for some reason I didn't add here, which I should have. You can also put the pilot abilities in there already. And then this is the modifier deck. There are 4 different modifier decks. This is number 1. I have number 2 is what I'm using now, and 3 and 4 will be in there. So that's basically what's in there already. You should have your ship ability, your pilot ability of the person who's in there, and the modifiers. And also normally 4 dice. There's only 3 in here. I took a bad example, to be honest, because when you play solo you have 5 dice instead of 4, but normally you put 4 in there if you play with more people. So just as a second example, so this was Starla. Okay, as a second example, we'll take a look at Violet's Raid. You can see here there are 4 dice. Okay, once again, her miniature, the people there, and then of course the ship abilities, Knossos, I mean the pilots, not the people, and the other modifier deck, which in this case is number 3. Okay, so once again, these cards go there, this one goes here, and this one goes here. Now it looks at this moment that there's a lot of space there. It will get tighter as you play the game more and more. Okay. And then in the middle you have the Sparrow. What's in here I'm gonna talk about more later. I mean, basically what's going to be in here, I'll talk about that later, to be honest, because it has stuff already to do with the campaign and make more sense later on. Okay, so on top of your card deck you have a card tray. You have the 4 player mats, okay, because it has a nice cutout in here, so it fits nicely. All right. Okay, so I'll take the whole tray out. Now at the end of the video there will be a sleeve test, okay? So you'll see whether or not the cards fit in the tray or not when they are sleeved. But the problem is, especially here, the problem is that there's already too many cards in there. So you can see they already need a top, so sleeving will make it go even higher. So I think even sleeved, it will cause problems. But however, if you sleeve the cards and then put them in the other boxes, which you'll see later, then maybe sleeving is possible. Okay, some important things that I feel like I should mention. First of all, you have here Jerach. This is not the one that you will see. You will see Josek, but I've already done that in the campaign, so that's already at the bottom for me. Once it's done, I've just put it on the bottom, so I don't always have to dig it out again. So here you have the decks of the ships. They're just there, it's fine. You have your ships, you have your elites, and the other side is your basic sides. Nothing much to say about that. One mistake I made though, you have your enemy modifier deck, but that will be in the Sparrow tray. All these other modifiers, they're basically upgrades that you have, okay? Potential upgrades that you can buy or that might be given to you. For example, these misses, you want to have them near the top because you might get them if your stress is too high. So you definitely want to keep them handy. The other modifiers, do not shuffle them, okay? These are just upgrades that you might get for your deck, for your own personal deck. Same thing here. Yeah. So here you have the ship abilities. That of course, these are for the ships that are not available yet. But then here you have the pilot upgrades, abilities. So I'm going to put these separately, these three people anyway, because these pilots are starter pilots and they have to be in the starter boxes as well. Although, bear in mind, when you start your campaign, you don't have to take this pilot with that ship. You just choose one ship and one pilot, so then you might have to move them around if your combination is not the one that's actually in the box. Alright, enough about this tray. Don't really have much more to say about that, honestly. Then we have the map. So far I haven't really looked at the map, to be honest. It's not mentioned in the campaign so far, but maybe at one point it will be. Anyway, that's here. Then we have the double-sided board. Then we have the rule book and also the scenario book. And then it becomes a little bit more interesting. So these ships and units are the ones that you can unlock. So here are the ships as well, the unlockable ships. And then you have the numbers here, but also numbers for the ships, the enemy ships, but also the faces of all the different pilots. Now, what have I done? Because this is a small container, which is really annoying. So when you are playing the actual game, right? I decided that I don't always want to try to fish this out. So in the box of my pilot, and I opened the wrong box. So in my pilot box, I have taken numbers 1 to 6, because it doesn't go higher than 6. 6 is the highest number, and put them all in here. 1 to 6 is in here, and also the icon of my pilot in here. So basically, when I open this box, I have everything I need already in there. I don't always have to go and fish it out here. Maybe I will need more down the line, but at the moment where I am in the campaign, I never need more than 6. Maybe in the end I'll have 2 sets of 6 in there. You can even throw all of them in there, I think, and they'll still work, because you can see there's a lot of space around the miniature. All right, I'll refer back to this later on. So that's one tip I would give you. Also, these tiles, they go on top. The order of these smaller tiles, it really doesn't matter, okay? They're all just one size. They all go there. And depending on the scenario, certain ones will come out, certain ones will not come out. It doesn't really matter. Same for here, these ones, they all go on top of each other. Now, one thing that I do, but you could call it OCD, even though all these 4 are all nebulas, I always make sure that the nebula shown in the rulebook is the one that I'm placing, even though you could just place this one instead of that one. But I guess, I don't know, I just like it to be the same. I don't want to use the same one the whole time. The same goes for the meteor fields. Because technically the meteor fields, the rules are the same for all of them, but there are many different ones and they all look slightly different. So there's no doubles. So I always check the scenario and make sure I have the correct ones. But once again, that's up to you. You can basically just play the game with just 3 tiles instead of all of them, I think. But depending on the scenarios, maybe there's scenarios with a ton of fields. Could be. So you just put these back. This all fits really nicely, honestly. That's why I wouldn't dream of removing this. You saw I have the miniature expansions. I still have all these here all together. All the ships, all the standees, the regular ones, the elite ships, just in case. You never know. I might end up needing it, but if you... I don't think you need them at all if you have the miniatures, but I kept them anyway. Here we have the notebooks for all the pilots. And as you can see, there's, well, as you might notice, there's 2 missing because they're in the Sparrow box, but I'll talk about the Sparrow in a second. Also, when you put the Sparrow back, after using it, make sure you put the standee first, like this. Okay, so you put it like this, or the other way around, of course, like this. And then the Sparrow goes bottom down like this, otherwise it'll stick out. And then these go on top. Then we have these tiles. They're all the enemy blocks, whatever. And then here we have the space exploration cards. Now, what you do here, you also have the player aids. What you do is whatever you're using at this moment, whatever campaign you're using, you will put the like, I haven't explored this yet, so that's the only one I'm showing, but the ones I have explored are face up on top of it, and then you just put it like this on top of there, so it's saved. Okay, I also have the 2 player aids, and in the middle I also have the events according to the system. So right now I'm in the Draconian system, so these events, even though they're smaller size, they're in here. So it's my little bundle for space exploration that's on top of them. And I put them on top of the other player aids that are unused, so I know where the save game bunch ends. Okay, so if at one point I have finished exploring the Draconian system, I will put them at the bottom, so they're no longer an issue. Okay, so that's there. So these go on top. And then we can basically restart with putting everything back. So once again, to repeat, these are the ships that you can unlock, and these are the other pilots that you can also unlock. So you cannot start with these, okay? They are unlockables. The 4 basic ones are the ones you start with, but that's mentioned in the manual. Okay, so once again, what goes first is the storybook, a scenario book, and make sure it's to the side so it nicely fits here, and also the rule book. You might say, why is it so low, why isn't it on the top? It doesn't matter, because you always need stuff from here anyway, so that's perfectly fine. And then you can choose, you either put the board first or you put the map first. Doesn't really matter because that fits here. Okay, and then next up will be the card tray that you put on top. There we go, nice and easy. And then you put the player boards on top, and then you put, before I talk about that, let's just see what I put in my Sparrow box. Because in the Sparrow box, okay, I put the pilot sheet that I'm using. I'm playing solo with 1 pilot. If there's multiple pilots, I don't know if they'll all fit, to be honest, because it just gets higher and higher and higher. But for 1 pilot and 1 squad overview, they both fit. Okay, more you'd have to test it, but otherwise you just put them at the bottom. Also in here is a modifier deck for the AI. You can see the E, the enemy, right? So you can see my previous shuffle, the ×2 is at the bottom, so right, that's nice. Also the trauma deck is there. Both have to be shuffled when you play. You have the die here, and then this is a very neat system. You have the Sparrow, and it has certain markings. For example, I'm at 4 supply, and this is round number 1 for space combat. So at the end, when you've finished playing, the rounds will reset, but the supply will stay the same, and you can just take this off and it'll stay like this, and then put it back on top of it, and then you'll still have the correct number there. Okay, so that's a really nice save system. You'll also see that these colors are mixed. It's very simple because there's too many black ones to all go in one spot, so they're kind of mixed, and there's only a couple of purple ones, so that's why I mixed them with yellow. And also you might say, it seems like you have a little bit less cubes than I have. That's because a bunch of cubes are not there. So there we go. This is back on top. This is on top, so that's my sparrow. As you can see, it does click, it does close, and then put it in the middle like this. And then I'll take a look at my pilot. What's in here? So first of all, you have my ship, right? Merkava, my pilot here. Then I have everything that I've so far bought and unlocked. So these, and you can see it fits here. We have the carvings here. But the problem is, once again, it's pretty tight. So I'm afraid, we'll do the sleeve test later, but I'm afraid, if I can predict it, that it will not fit as nicely anymore when you do sleeve it. But we'll see. So you have these here, the unlocked ones, right? And then, like I said before, you have the pilot ability. In this case, I have a ship ability. I also unlocked some tech. Then I have my modifier deck, which has also been upgraded a little bit. And then at the bottom, there's the pilot abilities and the ship abilities that I have not unlocked yet, but they're there already. And here, 5 dice because I play solo. And then you can already see I have the numbers here and the face, like I said before. And here with my ship, I have a bunch of cubes. Why? Because when you're playing, you want to have cubes for the ships or for certain status effects and so on that happen. And if you always have to take off the sparrow top to get some cubes, put it back on top, it is extremely annoying. So that's why I put a bunch of cubes here already, as much as possible here already, so it's easier to set up. It saves you a little bit of time setting up the game. And that is how I set up my pilot box or case or whatever you want to call it. So put this all nicely back on top and then put the cover on. There we go. And then everything goes back. So you can put it like face up, but you can also put it sideways. That also works. Doesn't really make a difference whatsoever. Okay. But like I said, there is a little bit of lift. That's just too bad. And then that's it. You put it back on, and that is basically a very simple reboxing, to be honest, with some pointers on the side to have the setup go a little bit faster. Yeah, so let's continue with the sleeve test, shall we? Welcome to the second part of this video where we do a quick sleeve test. Okay, so we have the box here, we have the card tray here, we have the sparrow box, we have the pilot box, because all these have different dimensions and might affect the sleeving. First, I would say is the world exploration cards here, and the cards that you have here, the space exploration cards. Don't shuffle them. You don't need to shuffle them. They don't need to be sleeved. There's no point in sleeving them. Also, when you sleeve these with the 80 by 80 or by Sleeve Kings, they don't fit. It just slightly, it bends, and you really have to push them in. So unless you can find a smaller dimension sleeve, then maybe it would work, but even then it doesn't make sense to do it because you only explore this area once and then it goes back to the box for the rest of the game. So not really necessary to sleeve these or those. All right, next up you have then these basic cards, right? The fit that I found best, I have Sleeve Kings, is 56 times 87. Is there an inch comparison? No, I don't have it in inches. So 56 times 87, and I'll show you what that leads to. So for example, I'll take the Ronin frigates. It's a very tight fit, right? Very, very, very tight. But the thing is, it needs to be very, very, very tight, because if it's very tight, it fits. But if it's a little bit wider, it is not going to fit. And sadly, weapons and so on is the same size, right? If you put it here, it already doesn't fit anymore. It fits, but the edges will flip. because it fits as long as you have round edges. But if you have straight edges, it will not, it will fold, right? It will bend. So, and this is just one. If you have multiple ones, they will all bend and they will all have like little chips and so on the side. So this, especially this one, is not made for sleeving the bigger cards, okay? So also it is really annoying to try to get the card back out. But yeah, so I would not sleeve any of these cards, to be honest, because it's going to be very, very tight. Also, the fact that it will increase the height is a real problem. But nonetheless, this is 56 times 87. Let's try 59 times 92. 59, 56, pretty close, right? So let's take that same frigate and put it in here. It's a lot more comfortable now, but that means it's too big. It doesn't fit anymore. So it'd have to be between 59 and 57 for it to be more comfortable. And I'm not sure if I have that available here. No, these are all too big. So just so you know, between 57 and 59 might be a little bit more comfortable, but I'm not sure if it will actually go in here. And also remember, the height will go up. So I don't know what the effect of that will be. So the only thing that remains then is the smaller cards. Now, I only have two sizes. I have 43 and 45. Those are the sizes that I have. So let's take the big one first and put my pilot ability in there. This is not Thief Kings, this one. This is Mayday Games. You can see it is quite comfortable here, but once again, if you remove these, it does not fit that well. So once again, the sleeve itself will bend and so on, so it'll be noticeable which card is which, or they all have like bended edges and so on. So this is technically too big, right? And that is the 45 times 68 from Mayday. So I'm not going to use those because it's going to be a pain to put everything back in there. I'll put the sleeve back in later. And then we have Thief Kings 43 times 65. So if you do that, it is a tight fit again, and the card also sticks out a little bit. But if you put it in here, it's nice and cozy. So once again, maybe if you want to have something in between 45 and 43, that'd be possible. Basically all the cards that are on your player board here, I would not sleeve. Okay, that doesn't make sense that you're sleeving these. But of course, your modifier cards, those are shuffled a lot, so they should be sleeved. And also these combat cards of the ships, they're also shuffled at least once every game. So that might be a good idea to sleeve those as well. But then once again, you need to have the right dimensions there. So sleeving wise, that's basically it. For the small ones, once again, between 43 times 65 and 45 times 68, that's probably the perfect size, because 45 is too big and 43 times 65 is a bit too small. But once again, I don't have anything in between. So yeah, that's what it basically comes down to. Sparrow wise, the box, I think this area is the same as here, so the sleeving rules also apply there. All right, actually it just comes to my attention that with the modifier and trauma, you can actually just do it like this. There you go, that's even better. Ding. Okay, so good to know. That's it for the sleeving test. No need to sleeve anything else. Once again, I would not sleeve these. I would not sleeve the space exploration cards. Actually, the only things that I would sleeve are the modifiers, and then only when you put them in your deck. Okay, this is the only time that I would sleeve them. Only the modifiers. Anything else, not necessary. Or you could do these two if you want, if you find the correct size for them. But yeah, that's it. All right, that's the end of this basically, isn't it? So thank you very much for joining and watching this reboxing and sleeving test. My name is Joachim. This was So Many Games All the Time, and I hope I'll see you next time. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.